Now, Mzansi, there comes a time in many of our lives where we feel the urge of starting a family. So here to talk to us about fertility and infertility is Dr. Q. Diale.
Salome Polycos helps regulate menstruation and reduces the male sex hormones. Get the help you need for PCOS with Salome. Your journey matters.
Now, when it comes to the reproductive health of women, we often shy away from these conversations, when in reality, we need these conversations to broaden our understanding on our reproductive health. So joining us in studio to discuss fertility cycle is fertility specialist Dr. Q. Diale. Welcome to the show, Doc.
Good evening, Palisa, and good evening to everybody.
It's lovely to have you, Doctor, and especially discussing such an important conversation. Now, many of us use the term, and we've heard the term before, but a lot don't know the meaning. Doctor, what is fertility?
So fertility is simplified as a couple's ability to conceive and bear children.
And then in your opinion, Doctor, why is it so important to discuss fertility?
This is very important because it actually affects people's lives deeply, especially when they start planning for a family, and only to find out when they are trying or they've tried for long that they are unable to conceive. So it's very important to discuss it, especially for women, because they do run out of time as far as the fertility clock is concerned, which most women don't want to hear about. But unfortunately, the biological clock is real, and when women age, their fertility decreases. So that's why it's important to discuss.
And we have to keep this conversation going, Doctor, because you've already kind of alluded to this. Now that we've already covered fertility, tell us, what are those common causes of infertility?
So the causes of infertility can either be male-associated or female-associated factors. And as we know, mostly in our community, once there is infertility, it's mostly the females that are found or said to be at fault. So on the female side, it plays about 30% role of the causes of infertility. And just to simplify them in anatomical order, looking at the body, you're thinking of the brain, which releases hormones. Those hormones will be hormones like prolactin, and you think of thyroid problems. Those are hormonal problems that can cause infertility. And then when you look at the reproductive system itself, problems with the ovaries, like polycystic ovarian syndrome, can cause infertility. And also problems with the ovaries called primary ovarian insufficiency. This is where women go into menopause for the age of 40. And this is also another cause of infertility that women need to be aware of. And other causes of infertility could be factors that affect the tubes, the fallopian tubes. We find that the fallopian tubes are blocked or malfunctional, and other factors that affect the uterus itself, like the fibroids, what we call myomas, and other illnesses like endometriosis. So the causes the list can be long. And when we go to the male side, also, it's important to note that male can also be born without sperm, even if the semen is produced during sexual intercourse, but the presence of sperm is very important. And we check for the quality of the sperm, and the quantity of the sperm actually also matters.
And you've already started speaking about the prevalence of this. How common is infertility, and who experiences infertility?
Infertility is actually quite common. It's experienced globally. When we're talking about the prevalence in developed countries, it's about 1 in every 7 couples. And if we're talking about underdeveloped countries, it's about 1 in every 4 couples that actually experiences infertility. So we're talking about 15 to about 25% of the population that goes through infertility. And it has nothing to do with a race or level of education or social status.
It does seem as if this does not discriminate, and a lot of people are dealing with it and definitely want to find out, you know, where they fall in the infertility scale, I suppose. So there are two types of infertility that people experience. Please may you explain just the difference between primary and secondary infertility?
So primary infertility is when a woman cannot conceive and she's never conceived before, not even terminated a pregnancy or even had a miscarriage. So that's primary, where infertility is experienced by somebody who's never had a pregnancy before. And secondary infertility is experienced by women who have maybe 1 or 2 children and they're trying to extend their family by having their second or third child, and that's when they're struggling. So if a woman has had a pregnancy before, then it's regarded as secondary.
Well, Dr. Q, thank you so much for stopping by Afternoon Express and just breaking down fertility and infertility so that we all know what we're dealing with and how to move forward. We really appreciate it. Goodbye.
Thank you for having me.
Sometimes the more difficult conversations just need a softer approach. And today we had the perfect setting to discuss the experience of women globally. With Salome, your journey matters.
Cysts in the ovaries, irregular or missing periods, and high male sex hormones are symptoms of polycystic ovary syndrome. If you experience 2 of these 3, you may have it. It's also the leading cause of infertility in women. Salome Fertility helps regulate ovarian function and helps improve fertility. Salome Polycos helps regulate menstruation and reduces the male sex hormones. Get the help you need for PCOS with Salome. Your journey matters.